What's going on, guys? Welcome to another Doctor Who Classic review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the 4th Doctor Tom Baker story, The Seeds of Doom. Now, this is kind of a coincidence that I'm reviewing this and my last review, which was The Ice Warriors, both around Christmas time. They're both snowy related stories. I mean, The Ice Warriors is completely set in a snowy environment. The Seeds of Doom starts off with the first two, or maybe even three parts, first couple of parts anyway, in the Antarctica, in snow. It's all snowy. It's just a complete coincidence that this happened around this time. It's how it's happened, but you know what? I love it. It's great. But anyway, this is The Seeds of Doom from season 13, a story that I've been interested in checking out because I've heard a lot of very, very good things about it. A lot of people consider it to be a classic, so I was really interested to see what this one would be like. Anyway, this is The Seeds of Doom by Robert Banks Stewart. When scientists unearth two seed pods deep in the Arctic permafrost, the Doctor and Sarah Jane rush to investigate. Soon the Doctor's worst fears are confirmed. The pods house crinoids, one of the most parasitic and dangerous life forms in the universe. One of the creatures already infected a scientist, and now a hideous monster is rampaging through the base, intent on total destruction. When the second pod is stolen amidst this escalating carnage, it is transported into the hands of insane botanist Harrison Chase. From his mansion in England, the plant-obsessed Chase will allow the pod to split open. Both the ruthless millionaire and the rapidly growing carnivorous crinoid are intent on infecting and destroying our entire world. Actually a really well and interesting, good plot on the back of the DVD there. A bit more information than we usually get, and just, yeah, really well structured. And I actually quite like the back of the DVD there. It's not really much. I don't usually really, go on about how good the back of the DVD plot synopsis is, but for this one I actually found that one of the more interesting ones. It really kind of gets you interested and tells you a decent amount about the story. So yeah, maybe tells you a bit too much in some ways. I mean, we're going like 2 or 3 parts in with that synopsis, but it's still interesting. Anyway, let's get started with the cast. Tom Baker as the 4th Doctor, really, really good in this one. Actually, a little bit of a different sort of feel for the Doctor in this one, I feel, at least for Tom Baker's Doctor, because he definitely has his serious moments, but Tom Baker's Doctor is more well known, I'd say, for being a little bit more silly and crazy. And in this story, he has those silly and crazy moments for sure, but he's, especially at the start of this story, and a lot towards the end as well actually, he's very serious at times. Like the start of the story especially, he is really, really serious. And you can tell he doesn't like what's going on here, because he has a suspicion of what is happening, what these pods are, but he doesn't know 100%. And with the people getting infected and dying and stuff, he's really, really serious. And it's a side of Tom Baker's Doctor we don't see that often. So yeah, I thought Tom Baker's performance throughout this whole one was good. He still did have some funny, silly moments throughout the story, but for a lot of this story, I'd say he's actually quite serious, and you can tell he's scared at points as well, which is also something that really doesn't happen with the Doctor that often, and when it does, I do really like it. Elizabeth Sladen as Sarah Jane Smith. Yeah, she's really good. I mean, Sarah Jane's one of my favourite companions, and she's one of the fan favourites for a reason. She's just such a great character, and Elizabeth Sladen plays her perfectly. Some really, really good moments here. She stands up for herself. She's just an amazing actress, Elizabeth Sladen. And yeah, plenty of stuff to do in this story, with the Doctor, or with the other characters like Scorby and, all those sorts of characters. Keeler has a lot of good dialogue with them as well. So altogether, yep, Elizabeth Sladen is really, really good here as well. Alright, so we get onto the good and the bad, starting off with the good. The Doctor acting more serious than this incarnation usually does. Like I said before, at the start of this story, for the first part especially, the Doctor is really serious. He doesn't quite know what's going on here. He has a suspicion that it's the crinoids. He doesn't really say what it is until a couple of parts in, but he seems to have a suspicion straight away that these are crinoids. He already knows about them. We haven't actually seen them before in the series, but the Doctor obviously knows about them from past experiences that we haven't actually witnessed ourselves. And yeah, he's really serious. There's actually not a lot of funny, silly Doctor moments in the first 1 or 2 parts. It's really towards the middle of the story where he kind of gets a little bit more silly and a little bit like the 4th Doctor that we know and love. However, yeah, this more serious 4th Doctor, I think Tom Baker, he does the funny, silly stuff really well, but he also does the serious stuff really well too, and it's a great balance, a great counterbalance between the two. And yeah, I really like the serious stuff with him at the start of this story. Charles being taken over by the crinoid. So Charles is the first person of really only 2 really only 2 people to get taken over by the Krynoid, because there's the 2 pods, so it basically creates 2 Krynoid beings. I mean, the Krynoids go and kill people, but they just kind of kill them. They don't actually turn them into Krynoids. Only 2 people get turned into the actual creature. Charles being the first on the actual base in the Antarctica. I think it's Antarctica, or is it the Arctic? It's one of the 2. I think it's Antarctica. Yeah, him getting turned into the Krynoid, I love the look of it. Apparently they use the same, you know, when the Krynoid is in its full form, they use the same costume as they did in the Claws of Axos for the Axons. But I quite like these a bit more. You know, they've repainted them and they also added some things on there. But they are, and you can tell they are pretty much just the Axons, just repainted. But I think they look really good. I think they do look a bit better like this than they do with the Axons. And generally I just prefer them in this story than I do in Claws of Axos. But yeah, Charles being taken over, just the rapid change of his appearance, from starting off just going a bit green, and then you can see all the plant life kind of growing on him, and then eventually it goes over his face, covers up his whole face, and he turns into this being. He turns into the Krynoid. I think it's a really cool transformation, and yeah, it looks really good actually for the time. The Doctor jumping on the taxi driver and knocking him out. So the Doctor and Sarah Jane kind of get captured, get taken away by this taxi driver, and you know he's going to kill them, but he didn't expect that in the first place. But then yeah, the Doctor manages to like jump at the taxi driver and just like punch him in the face to knock him out. Quite a bit of violence in this one actually. It is quite a violent Doctor Who story. But yeah, I mean personally for me, I quite like violence in Doctor Who. Yes, it can go a bit far. I mean, I know it's supposed to be a bit of a kids TV show, however it's more of a family TV show. As long as they're not actually fully showing the violence, which they don't show like blood and guts and gore. They just show, you know, a bit of punching, bit of shooting, stuff like that. No blood and guts and anything. The Doctor punching the taxi driver I just think is really interesting. He doesn't kill him. It's the Doctor. He doesn't kill him, he just knocks him out. I mean, we don't actually see the taxi driver again, but we know he just knocks him out. It's the Doctor. He's not going to kill a taxi driver. Or, well, an imitating taxi driver anyway. But yeah, I thought that was a really interesting scene. Lots of scenery change in this story. Like I said, we start off in Antarctica. It's all snowy. We're on like an Antarctic base, and it's a really nice scenery. We also have changes to London, England, where Harrison Chase is, and you know there's stuff going on there. So that's just kind of mostly what we see there, at least at that point, is just kind of his building. But then we see kind of the nice, beautiful gardens of his estate, of his house. That's really nice scenery. Yeah, just altogether a lot of scenery change in this story, and yeah, I do like the scenery change. It really does mix up the story and change the atmosphere quite a lot. A really eerie and creepy feel as well. This story has a really creepy feel to it, especially with the scenery change when we kind of get towards the last couple of parts, and it's like Harrison Chase's house, and it's all old, and the lighting is quite dark and dim, and you know the Krynoids outside attacking the building, and it's just all really creepy and eerie. And I think the atmosphere is one of the best things in this story. With the scenery change, it's just very, very well directed and well done all the way through, I'd say. The Doctor getting angry at Scorby. So Scorby is kind of the villainous character that kind of redeems himself a little bit towards the end. Not necessarily redeems himself, but basically puts himself on the Doctor's side, because he realizes that Chase has kind of been possessed and gone a bit insane. So he kind of teams with the Doctor, I think more just to survive more than anything. So he's still not really a good character, but you know, Scorby's trying to kill the Doctor and Sarah basically. And the Doctor gets really angry at him because he's trying to save his own skin, and that's not how the Doctor rolls. That's not how he rolls. You got to save other people. Don't just do it for yourself. And the Doctor gets really angry at Scorby. It's another one of these angry, kind of serious moments for Tom Baker's Doctor that I really enjoy. He just absolutely shouts at Scorby, and it's just the presence that Tom Baker has in those scenes I think is really, really good. It's some fabulous acting, and yeah, just really, really cool scenes, them ones. The Krynoid being able to control other plants I thought was really interesting. So the Krynoid itself is basically a plant. I mean, the Doctor describes it as, you know, on Earth, the humans, we eat plant life, but on the Krynoid's planet, the plant life, they eat the animals. They eat the, you know, humans if they have them, the animals, the dogs, the cats, whatever, the cows, you know, the animals eat. It's the other way around to us. And I like how instead of just, you know, it being this plant that takes over someone and the plant ends up going and killing people, the crinoid can actually control other plants and use them against the humans. So it like gets vines and starts like strangling people, and yeah, really interesting stuff. I like that. It's another layer to add onto it, so I enjoy that. The crinoid attacking the house actually looks really good. I'm guessing it's CGI or model work. I'm going to probably go for CGI, but it's very good CGI for the time. And if it is model work, really good model work. Yeah, when the crinoid's massive and it's like on top of the house, destroying the house, units shooting at it, it's really good. I think it looks amazing for the time. And yeah, some of the best scenes in the story, I'd say. And then, final good thing, Chase gets pulled into the compost machine. So there's this whole compost machine, which is kind of this rotating gear thing that they put people in, and it minces them up and kind of spreads them over the garden as a fertilizer, I suppose. And yeah, Chase gets put into the machine, and it's pretty grim. We don't actually see him go in, but the intention is that, and we hear him screaming, he goes into the thing and he gets minced up, and yeah, we don't actually see it, because it's Doctor Who. We didn't want to see it, not in Doctor Who, but the insinuation of it, the thought of it, it's pretty creepy. It's pretty damn dark. So on to the bad. There's actually only two things bad I want to say about this story, one of which I've only just kind of thought about. The first one is that it probably doesn't need to be 6 parts. Now this is actually one of the stories where I don't necessarily think it doesn't really get boring. I actually found it to be more boring at the start. I think, you know, a lot of classic stories that are 6 parts especially seem to be pretty good at the start. They really kind of slow down a bit in the middle, and then they get better towards the end. This story, I think, just kind of gets better all the way through. I don't think it needed to be 6 parts, but at the same time, I think it does actually still work as 6 parts. So it's a bad thing, but at the same time, it's not really a big problem. The only other thing is units. Unit appear in this story, but we don't have the Brigadier, we don't have Sergeant Benson. It's just kind of units. Just unit. You know, there's no face to unit this time. Brigadier gets mentioned, but we've just kind of got random soldiers. It would have been nice to have, you know, Sergeant Benson, Brigadier. Even if we just have one of them, just bring Sergeant Benton back, whatever. But instead we just kind of have units, but it's just a bunch of random people we've never seen before. So it's just kind of the military. There's no real kind of uniqueness there. But apart from that stuff, no, not really anything bad to say about the story. So a rating for the Seeds of Doom, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. It's a brilliant story. This one is it's not guaranteed. I mean, it's a guaranteed classic. It's classified as a classic for a reason. It's a really good story. Not my favourite Tom Baker story. I think it sits probably just above Pyramids of Mars, actually, which is also in the same season. Another really great story, but I think this one does slightly edge it over. I really enjoyed the atmosphere in this one and the feel of it. What was going on with the plant life and stuff I found really interesting, and the crinoid was an interesting villain that I'd love to see again at some point. And yeah, just all together a really interesting and just really good story. So yeah, 10 out of 10 for the Seeds of Doom. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe. Go into the description, follow me on Twitter, that would be awesome. And I'll see you guys in the next video.